We've been getting a lot of questions about how to build certain things with AI. So this week, we are going to dive into just that, how you can get started, how you can take an idea and turn it into something workable, usable, something that you can use every single day to help improve the outcomes with your students in their classroom, or even just build a simple landing page for your website. So today, Adam and I are going to break down what those questions could be that you could ask to get those answers and how to make it happen.
All right, hey man, how you doing?
Hey, good. I'm on summer break. I'm in the US. We're on different timelines now, and I'm feeling like I need another cup of coffee already. But here we are.
Well, for
Should have
me,
made
it's
one before we got started.
5 in the afternoon. I'm over in Switzerland still. I was in Portugal, and as I got off the plane, man, we've got a heat wave going on. It was like I got hit by a wall of heat. It felt like getting off the plane in Dubai. It was like almost 40 degrees in Geneva. It was just insane. I was down at the lake having a little swim today. But yeah, so today's inspiration was based on yesterday I was traveling and a friend reached out and was like, how easy is it for me to make a space repetition app like the one you've got? Surely it's easy. You only did it in like a few hours. So I thought, well, actually, I didn't. I was like, yeah, I used to make some basic apps in a few hours, but my first one took me freaking months of like iteration.
Yeah.
But I was like, I've got my Claude 5x max account at the moment running out in 2 days. I've barely used it. I've been on holiday. I'm traveling. I can have a go at making something for you. So I thought it'd be really interesting to just like dive into what is a basic build setup.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, because I remember that too distinctly, probably back in like November, December 2025. I was trying to build some of the first things, and I remember copy and pasting code from Gemini or Claude into GitHub, and it just took forever to do anything. And I was like tweaking little lines, and like it'd be like update this section, and I'd have to find it in the code and then update it. And now there's so many simple, easy ways to do things. And I remember that just took so much time, and it took months. I remember spending hours in the evening just like tinkering with it.
Yeah,
And
Cranley for me was
so much
like
easier now.
became like a megalodon, and I remember when we chatted, and I was still using just a conversation to edit code, and you were like, dude, you're not using Claude Code yet? And I was like, I can't stop. I just can't stop like the process to like learn a new way of working. It felt like I had too much to do because you just get like high on this drug that is like vibe coding or having like, which I think is just about having your creativity unlocked. And it was just like, no, I don't want to stop and learn how to use Claude Code and plug in my GitHub. That just sounds like it's gonna take too long. I just need to like make a few tweaks and and actually as soon as I listened to you and I paused, it didn't take that long to figure out, and my workflow increased so fast. And yeah, yesterday's build. So I'll share my screen. So it's open in Vercel at the moment, but here's the app that I've built. It's still being refined. My friend's checking it at the moment for like all of the translations and stuff. So the first thing I built was a space repetition app for biology, and they were like, "Oh, I'm gonna be teaching like AP Japanese, or at least they've got an interview to do so," and they wanted to impress. And they were like, "Do you think you could help guide me to build an app like the one that you've got?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's quite like involved." She's like, "Oh, but you make apps in like a couple of hours," and I'm like, "I make basic ones in a couple of hours, and I could probably throw you together like a minimum viable product and MVP pretty quickly." But like as far as you doing it, like I've had a bunch of people reach out that have got stuck with Base 44, and of course you're built into a subscription model there. And I had a friend that's got stuck on Squarespace today, just building a basic landing page. And I was like, I can do that for you. And then I'm like, damn it, I really need to like, stop just pimping myself out for free, because I've spent years like refining this. Well, I'm still in that phase where I get excited. And I was traveling yesterday, so I said to her, okay, I've got some basic questions, and then let's see what I can build you.
Well, and that's what's super cool, right? Is that you can like you can buy a subscription and have access to Squarespace or Wix or something, and update the text as you want and things like that. And if the cool thing is though is if it is your personal project or your personal website, you can do it all local, or you can run it all and host it yourself. And it doesn't take that much more technical ability. And the cool thing is you can update it anytime you want, and you can revamp the whole thing. You don't have to use certain templates and all that stuff. So it makes it really, really kind of fun,
Yeah, and
especially if you're creative and you like that stuff.
I mean, it can also cost nothing. Like if you want a proper domain address, yeah, but like you can just leave it with like the Vercel one, for instance.
Yeah.
So the things I set up before I traveled back from Portugal was I created a GitHub, named it Momo. Their like middle name is Momo. They're Japanese. It means peach. And so this is one of the nice things about creating your own app. You can personalize it, add that human touch. Then I linked, after I got like a basic build in there, I linked it to Vercel for deployment, which is easy enough to do. We
And
can.
Vercel, what is Vercel
So
exactly?
that's like the hosting webpage. So here's like all of my information on GitHub. This is where all the code is housed,
Okay, so
and
GitHub is like
it's
a it's like an
repository.
online file, like
Yeah.
a bunch of file folders and stuff that hold code, essentially.
Yes, exactly. So you call it a repo in developer language, but it basically is a repository of all of the information. And I don't write in this anymore. This is linked to Claude Code. And then what I do once I've got like the basic build in there is I then host it via something called Vercel, and it will push out the latest update. And I can do all of this from Claude Code. But
Hmm.
before I even code anything, the first thing that I do is I create what is called a rundown. And it's a .md file. What does MD even stand for? Do you know?
Yeah, Markdown.
Oh yeah. So it's just a simple text file, but it gives Claude a starting place. And I created a rundown in one Claude chat using OPS 4.8. And then this is me assessing it in a new chat. So I usually go through 2 or 3 iterations of like critiquing it with like fresh eyes, because every
Hmm.
time you talk to Claude, it's like fresh eyes. It's got none of the biases of the previous conversation. So I just
Hmm.
really simple assess this rundown. The idea is to have an MVP of a space repetition app to support AP Japanese with some daily games. And then by the time we got to the end of this, a few more questions in. We talked about the style. I looked at like Notion, and I also just looked at like a different like an editorial version. So there's this one, and then there's the Notion one. And the basic questions that I asked
Hmm.
her was about the name, the color palette. I sent her some screenshots of the style, and then from that, and I was able
And
to like put
and what
together.
model were you using when you were doing this rundown or the planning phase?
So just OPS 4.8 because I've got a whole bunch of Claude credit. So I was like, I'm just going for maximum model.
Yeah. And
Um,
I think it's something that I've discovered too is that you could do all of the planning and stuff with like a sonnet model probably pretty
yes.
easily. However, I find that Opus 4.8 with like high to max level kind of work, or I can't remember what it's called, but high to max level, you can create a really solid plan
Mm.
that you can kind of iterate on and run through. So that way, when you do go and execute it and start building it, you could use a Sonnet model to build it because it's pretty
Yeah.
it's more
A lot of
cost
people,
effective, and then but at least you did all the hard work with the Opus model, which is
it depends
good.
if you're being careful with your tokens. When I
Yeah,
presented the other day, this group were talking about being careful with their tokens, and I was like, really? I just spend $100 on Claude, and I just go balls to the wall, and I don't think about it. But I appreciate that not everyone's willing to spend $100 a month or
yeah.
can.
And for
So
those that don't know what a token is, do you know what a token? Can you explain what a token is?
the way I can explain it, you're probably going to critique me, would just be like the information that I send to an LLM and the information I receive back, thinking about it as like, you know, if I send like an old text message, like when I used to text on my phone, you'd get to the end of a text and it would be, you know, you've got 200 characters you can use, and that's 1 credit. And then
Hmm.
if I go past that, I'm now sending 2 messages, and I get 500 messages a month.
Hmm.
So it's the same with this. If I send loads of information to Claude and he has to read a 200-page PDF, that's going to cost a lot of tokens because it has to do a lot of work. And it's just a
Hmm.
measure of the work that Claude has to do, or any
Yeah.
other LLM.
Yeah. I think the other way that I've heard it, which, and I like that text message analogy. And the other way that I've heard it is that each token is a reference to a certain number of characters. So, like, a word could be 2 tokens, for
Mm,
example, and almost as like almost like syllables, right? In the sense that you could have a certain number of syllables equals uh, a token in a way, and so that's where it can be really token intensive to upload something like a PDF, because it has to kind of reformat all of the words, and then it has to reread all of it and then provide you an analysis, and then you get charged per token for the input and output. So
exactly.
whatever the output that it shoots out as well is going to cost you. So that's where token efficiency can be really helpful, and
And I
just
have a friend.
sonnet model is going to be cheaper.
I have a friend that does a lot of has it do a lot of mathematical calculations, and that's quite token intensive. It's like, how hard is the thing that you're asking it to do as well. But
Hmm.
you know, like we've seen in the news, loads of people get laid off, and now they're being rehired because actually replacing them with an LLM is really expensive. And I
Hmm.
think that's something, you know, at the moment, a lot of these companies like that run Claude, Anthropic, are actually, you know, losing money. You know, it's probably to dominate the market, make us dependent, and then we'll eventually start churning a profit as they reduce the tokens that they give us per month.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
doesn't take much to logically deduce that. But at the moment, I personally don't worry too much about it. But like, yes, the process to create this MVP was just a few questions. And what's cool in here, like even within the chat, I can already start looking at some of the functionality and talk it through with Claude and create like a nice rundown. What I don't like is the images it creates just within this OPS 4.8 chat. It's not very good. So what I did there was I actually then went to Claude Design, and you get so many of these as well. And I then, you know, we decided on a name that was based on a peach, and then I was like, okay, I want some single line peaches. I gave it like a tattoo as a reference, like a single line
Mm.
peach tattoo, and then there was 6 to choose from. Um, so the only things I actually needed from my friend was like the name, the color palette, signing off on this little the symbol, or the icon, and then I also created like a little character as well within the app, which you can see just up in the top corner here, like an origami peach. And then after that, so once I had my markdown file, I stuck it in Claude Code, and I can't get to the top of this chat easily, but I was just like, basically, here is the markdown file, linked it to GitHub. So down here, whenever you create a new session, you're able to just choose the repo that you want. So my name on
Hmm.
GitHub is Spudnik. Don't ask why, it's just stupid. And then I chose like Momo. And these
Hmm.
are all my repos from things that I've built, and that's just with one account. And then so I chose Momo, and then I just said, here's the MD file. I just dropped it in here into the chat, read through it, make a plan, ask me questions, don't code yet. And then it's really important to say, like, don't code, because, or sketch it out, because otherwise Claude just runs away with it. Like, I had it built, I started building something the other day that was like, I'm trying to avoid learning French by building a French learning app. And somehow we built a chess app. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't have it checked them. I was trying to do like 4 things at the same time. I didn't check the rundown very thoroughly. I thought it understood that when I said Fidi FIDE, it meant that curriculum for French learning, and there must be something in chess that is also called the same, because it went from French to chess. And was like, what the hell is this? So it did a whole bunch of work that was wasted. Like, if, like, don't build three things at the same time. It's the takeaway there.
Well, and do you use the planning phase within Claude Code there? So like go
Yeah,
down
that's what I
to
mean. I mean, my planning
like it
phase is
change
more just,
instead of accept edits. I think you can change that to
yeah.
plan
No, I
mode.
often don't stick it in plan mode. I often just ask it to sketch it out first.
Yeah. I
And
find that
then,
putting it into plan mode is helpful because then it does help to critique and create a better, it gives you an outline first that you can kind of edit and critique,
I mean, it
and
would do
then
that if
it
you
will
just
start.
ask it to as
Well,
well.
it creates it and then you have to approve it. So it won't, I think it helps. Maybe it's token saving or something, but it seems to
Hmm.
be, if it's there, then
Well, I
it
mean,
probably is
like,
good for
if
a
you're in
reason.
this accept edits, unless you specifically say don't code, anything you say to Claude, it will start doing the improvement without asking, basically.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with that. And then what I then did is, because I've got the basic build done, I was able to then pull it into Vercel. Like, you can just click, like, in the main page here, I can click add new project, and then I just pulled in, like, I just imported Momo, and then it's hosted, it's live, it's got a web domain within Vercel. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, the web domain here is one that it's allocated Momo Perl PSI .vercel.app, and that's enough for anyone to then go and be able to use it. It's live, it's hosted, but it's not a
Yeah.
tailored, personalized domain. But they're cheap. Like, biology by Bradford was 42 francs for 3 years. So,
Mm-hmm.
if my friend wants, she could host it like that, but it is then locking you into a cost. But she can host it like this too. I don't know if she'll get the job or how many kids would be in a class. Is it going to be worth hosting it and spending that money? But it doesn't need to be decided now. But once I've got that in place, once the GitHub is linked to Claude Code, once Vercel has deployed my MVP, I was then able to just run with this whilst catching my flight. So
Mm.
I had to travel to Lisbon Airport from Peniche, where I'd been surfing, and it was quite a nice workflow, actually. It's like reading my book, checking in on Claude, setting him up to do a whole bunch of things, saying go with it, push the PR to main, which means, like, just launch it straight to the app. And it can be a bit dangerous to constantly say, just, you know, I wouldn't recommend doing it as a normal workflow. But if you're just speed building something for a bit of fun, then just asking it to keep pushing to main meant that I added what's called a PWA. And I don't,
Mm-hmm.
what's PWA stand for? Jesus, sorry. Um, Someone's cutting the grass outside and a million little stones just fired at my window. Made me feel like I was under fire or something. But I don't remember what PWA stands for, but it's where you're able to
Progressive
save.
web app.
There you go. You're able to save the web page as an app. So then I had the app on my phone using the little peach icon, and I was able to just refresh that and have a look at how the updates were going. So normally what you would do in Vercel is you'd come and check on one of the branches before you push it to main. So you can work on a branch. It's just like forking your code and make sure that you don't, like, make any mistakes that you are then pushing out to the public if someone's using your app already.
Yeah.
But if you're
Well,
still
and
in the
when you
development
do,
phase, it's
when you
fine.
make it a PWA, a progressive web app, you allow it to, it's like it's still a website, but you'll make it to where you can save that website as a home screen icon. And then it opens it up as like a web app every time.
Mm.
So it's almost like you have a custom app on your phone that you don't need to have uploaded to the App Store, which is super
Yeah,
nice.
exactly. And then at the moment, like, this isn't something that's linked with any database. It's just going to be locally stored information because it's just like a test product. And this is what it looks like. This is optimized, like, mobile first. That's why it's like in this narrow strip. But the idea is that you can choose a level, you can give it your name, and then it's a spaced repetition, just like what I built with Cramly. And then you can look at the topics, you can go into the different, and I added lots of little features that appear in Cramly, things like adding a speaker. I don't know if you heard that. You can starve things to come up, and this is just like the view of them. I can click review, and I can do like that, and then I'm self-assessing how I feel and go
Well, I
through the
wondered
text.
too if you could use like a voice or like a voice LLM to be able to like speak some of those words and then like record them
Yeah,
and
so
then
you could get to
upload
that
them so
at the
that way you
moment.
don't have to pay for the cost of it to be
Oh
run
no,
every
no,
time.
I don't know. There's no cost there.
Yeah, you're just using the local, but it sounds horrible.
こんにちは。
That sounds alright.
Yeah,
For
that's
an
not too
MVP, there's like levels to it. Like,
yeah. Well, I'm just
I-
saying that the voice models are so advanced now. They sound really, really good that you could. I wonder if there's a way that you could feed it the words that you want and then record those as an MP3 and then have them linked or something so that way you.
well, what I said I could do for her, in the long run would be to add a database, give her an administrator login, and record them all herself if she wanted to personalize it in that way.
That's a good idea.
But there's lots that can be done. This is just like the basic MVP. But what's, added some games like I can't read Japanese at all, But this is like a Wordle style thing with a little animation. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, I got one right. Just no idea what's good. But so, like it's hard. Obviously, I don't speak Japanese. I've relied upon Claude here to completely like understand this. Little features, female to male. You can change your level. You can like export your progress, and it gives you like a data code that you can then go and import somewhere. You've got like a explainer on how to use this, and also for like teachers and stuff, and also for my friends, so she knew how to use it because obviously I've built it with some help and asking some questions. But like, yeah, it's kind of my thing at the moment. But
yeah,
the idea would be, and what I love about this is you can see the human elements within this build. You can see like the personalized touches of their students' teachers, and then what I have suggested to her, like if this comes to be something you use in your class, get feedback from the students. What would they like to see? What would be useful for them as a learner? And then build in that ownership that they can have.
For sure.
You've got like that student agency, and as teachers, we all understand what student agency is. It's all something we're trying to achieve, because that's where you go from an extrinsic motivation to intrinsic motivation as soon as you start grasping how this is useful for yourself. So that's how it could become powerful for her learners. But it was a fun build, and it's fun to feel like I achieved this on my journey home without much mental load. I still managed to read a good 100 pages of my book and watch a couple episodes of something else. And, and Claude was doing a lot of heavy lifting in the background. And I just, I had a nice iterative conversation. And my workflow was literally, here's like Claude code on my phone. I review what it's done on my PWA on the app on my phone. And then I send feedback to it via a voice note, and then ask it to sketch out some responses, and just kept asking it like, please, check the translations. And then today I sent it to an ex-student and was like, hey, I've built this. When you get a chance, could you have a little look? Because I don't speak Japanese and you are Japanese. So, and she gave me some amazing feedback where it had mixed like formal and informal language, but largely she was like, it's really solid. But that it's harder to check, of course, when you don't speak the language and you've built a language app.
Makes it difficult. But the fact that it got 80% of the way there, for a new learner, that's probably really good. So that's cool. That's really fun to see how simple and easy that can be, and how it's just kind of riffing on different ideas and just kind of continuing to just kind of let the creative juices flow in your head, and just kind of being willing to just kind of ask and implement and adjust. And I know that when I've built things, I'd be like, oh, I want to do this, this, and this, and this. And then it does it. And I'm like, yeah, I hate that. That sucks. Let's go back. And so we end up, fixing it or adjusting it. And that's the fun part, is that the cost of trial and error is pretty much zero at this point now. So you can take the risk to try to implement something that you think will be cool and realize that it won't work. Because maybe sometimes in theory or an idea, it feels really good, but in the end, you're like, actually, that doesn't really land the way that I want it to. We need to go back to the drawing board. And so it's super fun, super easy to iterate, super easy, fast, and cool to do. And even with website, it's the same kind of process, right? So just as if you're building an app or a website, even a website's even easier if there's nothing interactive or kind of application, if it's just a static website.
And I had a friend I caught up with today from America. He's over visiting, and he's got a new business venture, and he's subscribed to Squarespace and paid a whole bunch of money, and he can't get on with the web page. He had a friend helping him. The friend's like got a lot going on, so he's a bit stuck. And I was like, dude, you just want a static page of your like logo and links to Instagram. I was like, okay, I was like, at some point I need to like maybe charge some kind of consultation fee or something. But like, he's my mate. I'm like, okay, send me your branding, send me your palette, and then give me access to your Squarespace so I can take the web page from there. Like, you just need the DNS. And I was like, boom, I can smash that out in like 2 hours, like not even. If all you want is a static page, I was like, I'm probably going to do something fun with it too. I can't just make something static. I'll give him an option where there's some kind of like interactive element to it, and go and play around on some elements like that. I love it. Where you have like a magnetic mouse and everything like moves away from it or towards it. And
when there's some really cool sites out there like Mobbin or others that allow you to see what high quality web pages look like. And you can kind of connect those to Claude and say, hey, look at my saved list and help me build a website on this one. Or you can send it the link or do things like that. And it's really, really helpful, because now it has a reference point that it can kind of really go off of and develop something really, really unique. So, and we're doing this all with Claude.ai. Like, there's not a moment that you were using desktop or the CLI at all. So the cool thing is that as you evolve and you go to the desktop version, finding ourselves being able to use the online version for most of the things that we need to do. So we can accomplish that pretty easily. So
that's it. Like I said, my workflow was just freaking on my phone to the last couple of days. Love it. Like,
the fact that you can do it from your phone, right? Like, I think that's super cool.
And like, I have a lot of my ideas when I'm running and stuff, so I can just drop them in. Of course, you need to take a bit of a mental break, and it was really nice to decompress and go surfing and not worry about all my builds for a little while, actually. But it meant that then this was really fun when I came back around to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we should probably wrap it up. I imagine you have a day to start and I have a day to end.
Yeah. Well, sounds like a good time to wrap. And thanks for tuning in and staying to the end to watch Free Period. We look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. See you later.
Ciao.